What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here and back for another episode of the 5 takeaways as Tottenham go to Stamford Bridge, take a point off of Chelsea and remain top of the league for yet another week, and we'll see how Arsenal can get on against the mighty Tottenham Hotspur next weekend. 14th? They're 14th after a loss to Wolves, second home loss of the season, or maybe it's a third, I can't remember. Whatever. But anyway, who cares about those South London nomads? Let's get in to the
5 takeaways about Arsenal. I love that.
Let's get into the 5 takeaways from the Chelsea game, 0-0 at Stamford Bridge. The first takeaway is the tenacious Tanguy Ndombele, and what a performer this guy is, going from strength to strength to strength.
Yeah, he only played 65 minutes, as has been usual for Tanguy this season, but it was an all-action display for him. He completed the most dribbles out of any Tottenham player. He competed for the most duels, despite only being on the pitch for 65 minutes, winning 8 of his 11. He had the most interceptions, or joint most, and he was the most fouled player for Tottenham, winning the most free kicks. So a real all-action display from him, off the ball, on the ball, as you said previously, that he's really coming to grips with the Premier League. He showed it again yesterday, and those dribbles, they were marvellous to watch. There was something to behold, really.
They really were, and the way that a player like N'Golo Kante can't even get close to the man just shows what level this guy is on. He really does, because N'Golo Kante, maybe last season he had a bit of an off season, but when you look at the last five years of the Premier League, this guy is probably the best CDM over the course of the last 5 years. Arguments to be said, he's the best CDM in the league this year, but obviously we'd argue Pierre is. But and Kante is definitely up there, and you've got a centre-back like Thiago Silva as well, who's been one of the top centre-backs in this season, one of the top centre-backs throughout Europe during his whole career. And when you see players like that can't even get close to the guy's different level.
Completely agree.
Let's move on to the second takeaway, and number 2 is the impressive Serge Aurier. I mean, this guy as well, he's putting in performances in all the big games this season.
Yeah, I've been so impressed with Serge. He really has become a big game player, which used to be Serge used to be a player who, for the big games, who cost us. It would cost us a penalty or a goal or something, or a red card. Yeah. But now he's becoming someone who's almost faultless. He won the most aerial duels out of anyone, which is the same as last week. So he's becoming really good in the air. He competed for the second most duels out of any Spurs player. He won the most tackles, third most recoveries, second most touches on the for Spurs, and also the most passes in the final third for Tottenham. So he was another, again, just a bit similar to Tanguy, another all-action display from Aurier. Another display to convince me that he or Mourinho might be taking him on to another level. And we spoke last season about Mourinho, he was improving him. We saw improvements in Aurier last season once Mourinho took over, no doubt about it. But there were still those moments where he was costing us. But he seems to at the moment, he might be cutting those out of his game.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so good to see him, because I think over the past couple of years, we knew that he was a good right back, but he just had too many mistakes in his game. Yeah. That was the issue with him. And now he seems to be stamping out those mistakes, really putting in commanding performance against really, really good sides, which shows the level he's at. It really does. And I feel for Doherty a bit. You know, he's come in, he thought he would be number 1 choice right back, and it's just not working out that way.
I think that's how it is. I don't feel for him. I think Aurier's giving the performances at the moment. You've got to give him the shirt. And the great thing about Aurier as well is it's not. I don't think we've stripped anything from his game. We haven't made him like less aggressive or something. He's still getting so involved. He's making lots of tackles. He's making lots of. He's getting forward as much, not as much, but he's getting forward still a lot. And he's still being really, really aggressive against the winger. But he's just cut out those silly mistakes.
And, you know, a player that came so close to leaving in the summer as well.
Very close. We'll accept 20 million.
We accepted a bid for him, and good on him. He decided not to go.
But I remember we said in the summer continuously, for the price we're going to let him go for, there's no one we can really get who's better than him.
Correct.
So I think we did well to hang on to him.
All right, and let's move on to the third takeaway from the Chelsea game, and that is job row done.
job row done. So obviously he made his debut. Really, really massive game for Joe Rodon, and with Spurs keeping a clean sheet, I think he takes a lot of the credit. He made the most. He joined most aerial duels with Serge Aurier, and he had the most clearances out of any Tottenham defender. However, on the flip side, he made one error leading to a shot, which was the only error of any leading to a shot of the whole back four.
Was that the one in the last minute with the header?
Was, yeah. So
because, yeah, there were a few dodgy moments in the first 10-15 minutes as well from Joe Rodon.
Yeah, but that was the only one that directly led to a shot. So although there are things to improve, I think it was a really good commanding display from him. He didn't look out of place at all. I think he had maybe a bit of nerves or whatever for early doors, but I thought it was a really competent display from him. Really, really exciting.
Yeah, no, 100%. I was very happy with the job Joe Rodon did. I was a bit worried in those first 5, 10, 15 minutes, but he grew into the game. You can see the mentality on this guy is second to none, especially the way he came out after the game. Came out, put his hands up, said, yes, I made 1 or 2 mistakes, and said he's going to learn for it. And I fully back him to learn from it. I fully back him to kind of grow in a Jose Mourinho team, with Jose Mourinho backing him up, with Deadly King there as well. So I think everything to do with Joe Rodon is absolutely sensational.
And we'll see where this leaves Sanchez.
That's another story for another day.
Rodon coming in, he must be awful. Like, he must be hating seeing Rodon coming in and do such a good job. But I guess we'll see. Yeah,
we'll see about that. Let's move on to number 4. And the fourth takeaway of the game, leading on from Joe Rodon, is the solid defence of Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, so since conceding 3 goals in 10 minutes against West Ham, it's now been 5 games. We've conceded 1 goal in those 5 games, which is quite very, very impressive. And that 1 goal was to Brighton, which should have been ruled out as well.
Yeah.
We've conceded 9 goals in the whole Premier League, which is the best defence in the Premier League after 10 games. And you've got to say we've really sharp shop ever since that West Ham game. Sure. We've definitely been playing in a different way, in a more strategic way defensively. And Mourinho's really got his mentality into the team that we can't give away cheap, silly goals like we did at the end of that game. And I think we're defending with a different sense of responsibility now. And it's definitely, you can bear that out in the last 2 games.
Yeah, you can see we're defending as a whole unit, as a team completely. When you look back to last year, when our defence was absolutely shocking, you would say that we were defending as individuals and too many individual mistakes. But now, if there is an individual mistake, it doesn't really hurt us that much, because we're defending as such a team that they're all there backing each other up. They're all there for each other, as opposed to last year. If there was an individual error, then it's probably costing us a goal. So you would say that this season and last season, it's night and day between the way we defend. And you've got to commend Jose, the way he sets up the team defensively. You've got to commend Jose, the way he's brought back Eric Dyer, the way he's brought back Toby Alderweireld, and hopefully the way he's going to bring on Joe Rodon as well.
And the fact that you look at how we defended most of last season, how many mistakes we were making. Game after game after game, it was like slapstick defending at times for most of last season. And how he's just got that defence. I know he's added Reguilon and he's added Rodon and Doherty, but most of the defenders were there last season. He's really got them defending really well. Is mostly to do with the team. I said continuously last season, if you put defensive midfielders in that team, proper defensive midfielders to protect the defence, then you're going to see a different Toby and a different Dyer and different central centre backs, different performances, and that's exactly what we're seeing now. So it's really, really exciting. And I think I know the defensive side isn't the most exciting side of the game for most fans, but I'm excited by how we've reacted to that West Ham game.
Defensive artistry from Jose Mourinho.
Exactly.
Let's move on to the last and final point, the 5th takeaway, and that is uncharacteristically blunt Spurs.
Right, so second half against Chelsea, we had 0 XG, 0, so not even 0.01. We didn't have any sort of goal scoring opportunity. We didn't have any sort of shot, and that's the first time this season we've gone a whole half without having 0 expected goals. So although we're defending very well, which we said last game, the fact that we struggled to really test Chelsea's back four is a slight concern, and the fact that against West Brom, Burnley, we struggled for large periods as well in those games to really test the opposition defences is something Jose should look at and improve on, and not just think, oh, we're defending well, so we don't need to attack as well. I think we definitely do. And we did get over the line in those games. Unfortunately, this one, we only got a draw, which is
good enough.
It's good enough, but you want to go into the game with at least the belief that we're going to get some chances today. And the fact in the second half, although we did in the first half, the fact in the second half we didn't really test the back four at all is a slight worry, and hopefully Jose can see the reasons why and learn from it.
All right, so there you have it. Those are the 5 takeaways from the 0-0 draw at Stamford Bridge. Number 1 was the tenacious Tanguy and Ndombele. Number 2 was the impressive Serge Aurier. Number 3 was the job road done. Number 4 was the solid defence. And number 5 was the uncharacteristically blunt Spurs. Or maybe characteristically, actually.
Coming up from the last few games, you can say we've been a bit blunt. Although, I think this is probably our lowest expected
We're usually
goal.
clinical, though. That's the thing.
But this is probably, in terms of our chances created, this has been our lowest expected goals, I think, of the season.
So it is uncharacteristically then.
So it's fairly uncharacteristic. But you would say on the back of the Burnley and West Brom performances, it's not too much of a surprise.
Yeah. All right, well, there you have it. Let us know in the comment section below if you have any other takeaways to tell us about. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.